Recording. Welcome, everyone. You are on the Luscious Living podcast, and I am your host, Celine Bilgan. I have a very special guest on with me today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her so that you can get a feel, but I want you to listen carefully because Pam has a lot of information that I know that you're very excited about. Okay, and I'm excited to hear from her too. So a little bit about Pam is she is a professional psychic and author, consultant, radio show host, and she has the ability to see auras, and she teaches you to do the same. She has been everywhere. She's been on numerous television and radio shows like ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox, Dr. Oz show, and she's also been on TEDx in 2012 and presented to Fortune 500 companies. And so she's been doing this for over 36 years. And I really, from what I've also gathered in all of your information, Pam, you teach on the human potential, the psychic abilities, auras, quantum physics, all of these things that make us who are a little bit more receptive and sensitive to that, make us feel like we're normal. And so I know a lot of you listening are going to really, really love Pam. She's also an author, as I mentioned, and she's written the book Life Colors, Love Colors, and Make Your Dreams Come True, among a few. Okay, so as you can see, I'm very, very honored to have you on the show today. So let's get right into it. Pamela, thank you for being here with me today.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. I love that you want to talk about this stuff. It's so exciting.
Oh yes, there's a lot of listeners who are very keen and always wanting to learn and expand their knowledge, and so you are the perfect guest to have on. So, I mean, you started from somewhere, and now you're doing this incredible work. How did you even start to realize that you were able to see auras, and then start to develop your skills further?
Well, let's see. Years ago, decades ago now, I was running theater, like not a movie theater, professional theater and rock and roll concerts and facilities. And I went to hear a psychic speak, and I walked into the room. And, oh, I'm so sorry. That's
Real
off.
life.
I don't know how it came through. Anyway, so I walked into the room, and he pulled me up in front of the group that night and said, "You know how to do this. Get up here and start telling people what you see." I was like, "What? Wait, I came to see you. What are you talking about?" So I found that night that I was seeing things about people I didn't even know. Like there was a woman over to my right who was pregnant. She didn't know she was pregnant. I saw the spirit of a little girl standing next to her. And, I got all kinds of specific details about people I'd never met before. So it kind of freaked me out. But then I started doing that type of work, doing readings on people. And a year after starting to do those readings, I met a woman who could see auras. She has synesthesia, which means
Mhm.
anyway, so you can see sounds and hear colors and taste things with, anyway, we're, cross. Anyway, she saw auras and she thought everyone could. So it wasn't until she was in her 40s, I think, that she realized other people weren't seeing what she was seeing. So I would bring her up to Santa Barbara to do workshops with my groups. And I started realizing that what she was seeing about the auras matched with what I was picking up psychically about people. So that's when I went, oh, that's a green. Oh, that's a blue. Oh, that's a violet. Okay, I get it. So then after working with her for a while, I developed the ability to be able to see and sense the aura myself. And then over the years, I've learned a whole lot more about each one of the aura colors. I go, wow, she didn't tell me that violets do that. So I've learned just by working with thousands and thousands and thousands of people over 36 years now.
It's so you even on your website, which I will link to for those listening, you have an aura quiz, right? And so when people do this quiz, it's a powerful tool to get to know yourself better. And I was just telling Pam before we started recording, and even when I emailed you, I cried when I saw my color, and I knew I could not believe that it so touched me in that way. And I knew that other people would need to know about your work. So for those who are just understanding this realm, and even someone like myself, I would love to know really what is an aura, and then what's the difference, because I on against a screen I can see someone's like a white band.
Yeah.
but I don't see color. And so what's the difference between the aura colors and then an aura?
It's the same thing. The aura, first of all, so people know, is an electromagnetic or energy field that radiates off of us. We're made of energy. Everything's energy. That's quantum physics. And so we radiate out energy. Hold on. And the way that I see it is that I see lots of different colored bands out from people. And each one of the bands tells a different story, but the one or two colors that are closest to your body, like your yellow and violet, and you have a lot of violet, yellow and violet, those two colors that are closest to your body basically reveal who you are, your life purpose, what's going to be fulfilling for you, the theme you've chosen for this lifetime, careers that are going to be the best for you and most fulfilling, relationship compatibility, potential health issues, how you are with money, what's important to you. It's revealed all in those two colors. The outer bands of colors change all the time, depending on what's going on with the person at the time. So if I see somebody really angry, red shows up in the outer bands. But if
Mm.
once they stop being angry, that red goes away. In the outer bands, that's different than a red light color. So um, basically, and I started seeing it the same way you just described. Usually, when we first start seeing the aura, although I've met a lot of children that see the aura colors that I do, I've also
Mm.
met some healers that see different colors than I do, but it doesn't mean somebody's right and somebody's wrong. We're just
Mhm.
having a different experience, just like we taste food differently.
Mm.
There's people that like Brussels sprouts, and I know they're not tasty. Anyway, so the outer bands change all the time, but the life colors typically don't. So I love that you bring up that it helped you, like it validated you. That's the whole reason I put that free quiz on the site, and I've got free videos all over there, and I've got courses and books, everything helping people. One, not to limit people, because you've got yellow, so do I. We yellows are pleasers. We're nice people, but we don't like being told what to do. We're a little stubborn streak in there too. So it's not to box people in. It's not to label them. It's to validate them and give them permission to be who they really are, because you'd be amazed at how many people are out there that are unhappy and unfulfilled because they've been trained to think they're supposed to be a certain way, and it's not who they really are. So once they get freed up and validated and have permission to be who they really are, then we're all so much happier, and it helps us get along with each other. Because instead of running around out there going, now, why can't you be more like me? Why can't you think more like me? You go, oh, you're a crystal. Oh, I get it. That's why you're like that. Or, oh, you're a
Mm.
10. Okay, I totally get it. Now I understand. Then we can understand, accept, and validate and allow everyone to be who they really are and support them in being who they really are.
It's so true. And so that's how it could help someone with their day to day is looking at, okay, is this the right career path for me? Because it's going to be suited for your personality or you're not, or your tendencies or not, right? And you said it perfectly. It validated who I know I already am, and it gave that permission to say, okay, there is something inherent and I am meant to do this as well. You
Yeah,
know, so
you've chosen to do that in this lifetime. And so, especially you violets usually feel this ever since they're little. They just know that there's something different. That they're different, because violets, all the colors are important. All the colors have a purpose for being here. All the colors are positive. There's no negative or positive colors. There's negative or positive qualities with each one of those colors.
mhm, mhm.
There's in power, meaning that person's living their full potential, their best qualities, their highest purpose. And then each of those colors have a downside, that if they're not living their potential, there's behaviors that go along with the negative side of that. And then there's tools to show each aura color personality their specific tools for their color, how to get back into center, their empowerment, and live their best potential. And each one of the colors is unique.
You know, I love this, and I'm so curious about the people you've spoken to who maybe are more left-brained and more logical, who, how do you explain that to people who are not really already in this kind of field?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I've spoken at science and consciousness conferences. I've been speakers there. And so it's funny, I have to tell you the story. The first time I went to the science and consciousness conference, there are all these um well, they're TANs. TANs are very practical, logical,
Mhm.
analytical, scientific. Where's the data? This is a ripoff. I'm not, that kind of stuff. whole bunch of those scientists sitting out there going, I can't believe they booked you as a speaker. This is so ridiculous. And by the time, and I would pick people out in the audience and tell them what I saw about them and what their colors meant. By the time I was done with that talk, they're all writing notes going, wait a minute, how did you know that? Wait. They're all animated. And they had me come back year after year. And it was funny because they were testing me because
Mm.
they said every year I came back, they wouldn't sit in the same places, obviously. And it was like, no way. I see 6 to 8 clients a day. There was no way I even remembered who they were. But they go, God, you read me last year and you said the exact same thing. So it was consistent. So they got excited.
Yeah.
Now, that's the first thing. The second thing, I don't try to convince anybody of this. I like talking to people like you that are curious, or you're open, or you're ready for this information. I don't want to convince somebody. I don't want to talk them into something. I don't want to go against their belief system. There
Mhm.
are people that are logical. There are people that are religious that think that you're not supposed to see auras. And I go, what are you talking about? They're halos around spiritual people. That's an aura. They're halos. So
Mhm.
people have been seeing them for centuries, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't try to convince. I don't, usually if a tan comes to me for a reading, it's usually because his wife has convinced him that he has to come see me. So there's a lot of resistance. But then once I start doing all the psychic stuff and showing them what I get about their future, their past, who they are, and can connect with secrets in there. I mean, not I don't invade. It's just to be
Yeah.
helpful. I
Mhm.
want people to be happy and fulfilled. So once they do that, most of them are like, you know, how'd you know that? And then there's still a handful of them that go away going, well, my wife told you that, or you Googled me online and found out all that information. I'm like, I don't have time for that. And no, your wife did not tell me anything about you. But I let people be who they are.
It's so true, and I'm in the field of holistic nutrition. So there's people who understand, the mind body connection, or are curious and understand that what you eat will shift how you feel in your body. But it's the same thing where it's right there. But then I'm not trying to convince anyone that, to eat a certain way. I will share information when I'm asked, but it's funny. It's the same thing.
And by the
So
way, the nutrition field and the health field, that's yellow. Those are yellows.
is it, yeah,
Yellow.
it's
Yeah. Yellows either get into the creative fields, they're writers and artists and designers, or they get into the healing fields, nutrition and energy work, massage work and all that, or they get into the physical fields like they're yoga instructors or they garden or something, and they work with dogs. The yellows usually love dogs. So that's the yellow side of you. Then violets want to reach the masses. Violets are here to improve the quality of life for people, to shift the consciousness, to be bigger. I mean, you violets don't like working for other people. Violets want to do their own projects. You've got 2 aura colors that like freedom. Okay.
mhm.
You added blue in your outer bands. Blues want security and love and relationship and secure home. Yellow violets are more free spirited. Like they want to play and push the boundaries and adventure and affect the masses. You understand? Violets are here to do big projects.
It's so true. I know ever since I was a kid, I knew that I was meant to raise the planet's frequency. I didn't know what that, like the words of that, but I know I was just like, I want to help people and I want to reach a lot of people. It was always a thing. And then again, like I said, coming across the Aura Colors quiz, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So thank you for creating that and being able to share that. So one thing I've seen online is people sharing a picture of the aura. It's almost like an aura color. Have you seen that? Yeah, what's different between that?
Okay, so the aura cameras that you can
Mhm.
go to psychic fairs and see those aura cameras, and I have clients that have those. What they've described to me is they take a picture. Well, what they do is they measure the frequency around your hand. You put your hand on a metal plate, they measure that frequency. Then they take a picture of your face and they superimpose that. This
Mm,
is how these camera operators have explained to me it works. But those cameras don't always pick up the life colors. What they measure is the energy around you that day, especially the emotional energy. So
mm,
sometimes they pick up the life colors, but not always. So for example, my clients took my picture. I'm a blue yellow who's added violet. When they took my picture that day, it had a lot of orange and red and yellow. And I went, I am not an orange or a red. I mean, I know what those personalities are like. That's not me. And they
mm.
said, no. In our system, that shows that you have a lot of energy and a lot of creative energy and a lot of power and passion that comes off of you. That's what those colors represent in our methodology and our system. So when people, the cool thing about those cameras is they do show energy fields. So it's fun for people to see what an aura looks like. It just doesn't always show the life colors.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for explaining that. And then can you see the aura colors in like a plant or food, for example, as well?
Usually when I see things like, so people and animals, I see colors around. Okay.
Mhm.
When I see trees, plants, food, I see the white. That's
Right.
usually what people see first. You asked about that earlier with the colors. Usually people start seeing the white around, especially around the head, because that's usually where the aura is the strongest. It's around here.
Mm-hmm.
Then over time, it's not important that people have to learn the different aura colors, but that's usually if people practice it enough, they start seeing colors that go with it. Now, with plants and food, I usually just see white.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Amazing.
usually because it's not a personality.
Right.
Okay. The
Right. With
aura
the life
colors,
path. Yeah.
yeah, it's more of a personality. Yeah. Yeah. People and animals.
Okay, that makes sense. I wouldn't imagine having like an eggplant, seeing an aura around an eggplant, like a purple one or something.
It's
That's
usually white. It's usually, although there is, that's a whole other subject conversation, but there is consciousness in all matter,
yes,
everything,
yes.
living, non-living.
So I know that I have some listeners who would be wanting to learn further about that. You have some courses about the aura. How can someone start to even practice seeing and then go deeper with your courses?
Okay, well, yeah, I do have courses on there. So here's two things that people can do. Now I'm going to use you as an example because you're a violet and you're a yellow.
Mhm.
Violets, by the way, violets are here. They need to do big projects. I typically, because I forgot to tell you this, typically I see violets getting involved in the arts or the media. They're broadcasters and performers and actors and musicians and singers, or they get into teaching or psychology because they want to help people emotionally and psychologically. And yeah, and violets want to educate, inspire, and empower.
Yep.
They tend to rescue. Violets want to like help people believe in themselves. Or
Yep.
I see violets getting involved in causes. I've also seen violets getting involved. Yellows don't usually like this, but I also see violets getting involved in politics and law. Okay.
Yep.
Um, so anyway, so the reason I'm bringing that up is violets come from the third eye. I
Mhm.
see 14 different aura colors, just so your listeners know, 14 different colors that I see, different categories. The physical colors, red, orange, magenta, and yellow. The mental color, and those are the colors that get what's real through their body, through touch, okay, interacting. The logical, the mental colors, they get what's real through data, logic, information, that kind of stuff. Those are 4 different tans and a green. There's more on my website.
Mhm.
And then the
Mhm.
spiritual emotional colors, and those are the colors that get what's real through their inner intuition, their emotions, their feelings. Those are blues, violets, indigos, crystals, and lavenders.
Mhm.
Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because each one of those colors perceives the energy of the aura differently. Violets, because you guys come from the third eye, you're the first ones that usually are able to see things or see flashes of light or beings on the other side, or see that you guys see things that a lot of people don't perceive as much because you come from the inner eye.
Mhm.
Blues feel it more emotionally because they're all about emotions. Blues can cry very easily, but they come from the heart, so they're much more emotional. Yellows in the physical field are much more kinesthetic. So yellows, it's easier for them to feel the energy field, the aura. Now, just to let also your listeners know, almost all of us have had the experience of feeling those energy fields, feeling, sensing them, whether they're aware of it or not, which is why you can meet somebody for the first time and go, oh, I really like you, and feel like you can stand close to them. And other people, you go, oh, I don't want to stand next to them. They've got weird energy. You're feeling their energy. So a way that people can do that if they're more kinesthetic is to stand away from somebody, like, I don't know, whatever you want, 4 to 6 feet with your hands like this, because yellows come from their hands a lot. Okay, there's a lot of energy that comes out of yellows. They're healers. Just slowly start walking towards the person until you can either feel their energy field or you get close enough. Some people perceive it as heat. And I've had people go, well, that's just the heat coming off of a person. I go, that's heat is energy. It's energy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
until you feel it, that's how to practice if you're more kinesthetic
Mhm.
feeling.
Mm.
Um, One of the ways you can do it, especially if you have violet in your aura, I love it when people, for me, it's easiest if somebody's in front of a white backdrop. It's
Yes,
easier
me
for me to
too.
see it. That's why my entire house is white. And then to look at someone with soft eyes, meaning you either look at their forehead or their nose or their chin or just past them with soft eyes. If people try too hard, like, oh, I want to see it, I want to see it, you're going to struggle against it and you won't see it. You're trying too hard. But if you just relax and kind of let your gaze look past the aura or, on their face or beyond, you probably, most people first start seeing the white glow around people. That's how it usually starts. Now, if you keep practicing, because you've noticed we've learned everything by practicing, walking, eating, talking, driving, all that we learn by practicing. The more you allow trusted practice, the more you're going to be able to see it and perceive it. Those are just two ways. I think I have a lot more on my website. I think even on my blog, I wrote, I don't know, I've written so many posts over 36 years. I'm pretty sure there's something in there about how to see auras.
I will link for anyone listening as well. Anything we talk about, Pam does reference a lot of things on her blog. So I'll just link all of those so you can read further as well. So one interesting thing is one time I have seen a gray aura around someone.
Hmm.
That was only one time in my life. Does that mean like they're depressed or about to decease?
Um, yeah, could have been either one of those. I don't see gray auras, so I'm not sure what you saw, but I can tell you this. I've seen when people are unhappy or faded or ill, then yeah, the aura starts fading. Well, you can tell their life energy is not as radiant. When people are really happy and alive and vibrant, or you violets, when you're in front of an audience, man, your aura gets really big, okay? Because you got to reach those people and you're excited. When people are either ill or about not to be here anymore, yeah, their aura starts fading. Um, I had a woman come to me once and she had basically no aura. And
Mm.
and then when I tuned into her, I found out she did have terminal cancer and she was gone 3 days later, but she knew it. So we were talking about her family here and what was going to happen on the other side, that kind of stuff. But I also saw a woman once, she came to me and her aura was really faded. And when I
Mhm.
tuned in to find out why and if there was anything I could do about it, the spirit of her, this man showed up next to her, the spirit of a man. And I kept going, he kept trying to talk to me. I kept going, go away, go away. I'm trying to talk to her. No, I really need to talk to her. Well, short story, I found out that that was her husband. He had committed suicide and she was so distraught over that she blamed herself for it. So she
Mm.
planned on committing suicide. That's why her aura was faded. And so and then I got to tell her what he was saying because he didn't leave a note. So she didn't know why. So he explained it and she confirmed everything he said. And then during the reading, her aura came back and she didn't commit suicide.
Oh my gosh. I was going to ask you what your favorite story was, and that is powerful. That is, I mean, that might not be your favorite, but that's just like a testament to the power of this kind of work.
Yeah, there's been, I mean, 36 years, you can imagine I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories. But yeah, our consciousness is expanding. You're talking, and you violets know this. We are evolving. There's so much more. That's why I talk to people about not just auras, but psychic abilities and bending spoons and
Mhm.
talking to people on the other side and tapping into other lives, past, present, and future. Once you once you start seeing that we're actually evolving and we're way more capable of advanced abilities. And I feel like more people your age are feeling that, they're sensing it, they're stepping into it, especially you violets, because violets are the visionaries. They sense the future, they see where we're going. You guys just get frustrated because you don't understand why other people don't see what you see. It's a violet thing. So yeah, that's why I want to help people be happy and fulfilled, whether or not they expand any of these other abilities, but also for people that are starting to sense this or feel it or know there's something else that we don't know everything already, but we're starting to expand and shift. I offer all kinds of information to help people, one, validate that that's real, two, give people direction, instructions, teachings, how to tap into those advanced abilities, because it's where we're going.
It is where we're going, and it's an almost another skill. Oh, there's me too with the phone there.
Not the only one. That's never happened to me.
I
I have
know.
my
And
phone.
it's like it's another skill in our pocket. It really is, because it can help us make those decisions, whether it's about a life partner or about a career. And so on that note, I really wanted to also touch on the parallel universes, because this is something I still am not really able to wrap my head around. But you have manifested your partner by jumping into another timeline. So how can we, either whether it's resolve trauma or whether it's manifest our career or more wealth or whatever it is, using these timelines?
Okay, so first let me explain to people, I'm very grounded. I study quantum physics, okay? And that's where we're advancing into. That actually has the bigger truth about reality and who we are, not the old Newtonian physics, which is new, saying hundreds of years old. We're just biological machines and then we die and that's it. No, quantum physics is saying something completely different. And I just want to preface this by saying, when I started studying it and I started learning why I could do all the things that I could do, remote viewing, bending spoons, you know, parallel universes, I wanted to understand why I could do that. And the more I understood,
Mm.
what I want people to know is every time we learn something like this, it actually gives us more freedom and more fun. So for example, we used to think the world was flat. And then once we discovered it was round, well, for most people, it's round. Some people still think it's flat.
Right.
It gave us more freedom. We could go places. Once we understood aerodynamics, we can fly. That gives us more freedom and makes it more fun. You know, I mean, at least we can get there faster. We have more freedom. So I went, okay, if quantum physics has discovered that parallel universes are real, and I'm going to explain it in lay terms, okay, and easy to understand terms. But I went, once they've got evidence that parallel universes are a real scientific thing, it's quantum physics. Well, then we must be able to use those for more freedom. And the more I do these things, the more fun and interesting life gets too. Okay, it's like, wow, we can do a lot more. So parallel universe is what science is saying, and people can go online, by the way, and go to YouTube and Google or look up parallel universes. My favorite one is by Dr. Quantum because it's animated and he
Okay.
explains it in a really easy way.
Thank
But
you.
basically, we're infinite beings, and we've heard that, but we just, well, yeah, well, maybe when we cross over, we're infinite, right? It's like, no, we're infinite all the time now. So what they're basically saying is we don't exist just in one plane. We just think there's only one reality, but there's multiple universes that we exist in simultaneously. So the way that they explain it, and then I'll give you the lay terms, is they said these are physicists now, okay? Every time you make a decision, well, let's put it this way. There's a you that already got married and is having 2 kids, okay?
Mhm.
There's a you based on your choices. Every time you make a choice, if you go left, there's another you that went right, okay? And is having a completely different life parallel to that one. We just think there's only one. And by the way, we show this in our movies all the time. We've got Back to the Future, we've got Sliding Doors, Frequency, Somewhere in Time. And my latest favorite is Yesterday. They're all parallel universes. And it sounds science fiction, but a lot of things that were once determined as science fiction are now science fact. Okay. So this is the way it works. So all those other you are around you, but they're in a different frequency and you're not focused on them, so you don't know that they exist. But quantum physics is saying you're going in and out of different parallel universes all the time. You just don't know that because you think there's only one reality. So this is how I explain it in understandable terms. Right now, the room you're in right now, there's at least 10 radio stations broadcasting around you. So all those radio waves are around you right now. You don't know they're there because you're not tuned into the frequency. But if you went to your radio and turned it on, say 99, you're going to hear the talk, the music, the program that's coming off of 99, and that becomes your reality, right? Now, if you go and change it to 107, now you're going to hear the music and the talk that's coming out of 107, and that becomes your reality. Well, 99 is still going on around you. It's still there. You're just not tuned into it, so you're not aware of it. Well, what I've learned how to, by the way, and when we have deja vus, because all of us have had deja vu,
Yeah.
I feel like that's different
Mm.
intersecting.
Like
Okay, but
glitch.
that's one of them. Or having a premonition or having a memory. You're tapping into other frequencies and they all exist simultaneously. So when I learned that that is a physics thing, that that's real, I went, well, then I should be able to use that consciously to change my life. And I honestly believe that's how people do spontaneous remission, like they're
Mm-hmm.
healed with cancer and then they're not. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what, and medical science can't explain what that is. They just think it's either misread or anomaly or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe it's quantum physics. Um, it's parallel universes. So do you want me to show people briefly how I did it? One of the most dramatic, because I use it all the time now.
If you're open to it, yes, please.
Only if you're interested. I don't want to bore
Yes.
anybody.
No,
Okay.
no, I am buckled in.
The quickest way I can describe it is years and years ago, I fell in love with this guy, musician. You know how musicians are with their commitment issues. Some of them, not all of them. I love musicians. I worked around musicians for I love creative people. That's my favorite. Um, so I fell in love with him, and he's like, no, 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 wanted nothing to do with me. No, you're blonde. I don't like blondes. Well, I'm in COVID casual now. But, no, 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 blah, blah, blah. I live in California. He is in a band. He moved to the East Coast. He said, nope, never going to get married. Don't love you. Don't not even know you're a blonde. I don't like blondes. Blah, blah, get out of here. Blah, blah, blah. He moved to the East Coast. He was there for 2 years. Of course, I was heartbroken because I was just convinced that's who I was supposed to be with. I started reading about parallel universes and I went, wait a second. So I experimented. And one day I went into a meditation and I noticed, I'm going to call it universe one. I was in universe one, and we are in universes based on our thoughts, our beliefs, and our emotions. That's what it's a frequency. That's what brings us into and creates certain universes. So I noticed in universe one, I didn't feel lovable. I had low self-worth. I didn't believe that he loved me. I mean, I just, all that low self-worth stuff, right? So I went, well, I know that in order to change my universe, I have to change my beliefs. So I started experimenting and I saw myself, I'm visual too, even though I've added violet, I'm not really violet, but I visualized opening up this membrane and going into universe number 2. And I looked around and went, nope, he's still on the East Coast. He's happy there. I would feel guilty bringing him away from that. So I'm not going to stay in this universe. I kept imagining myself, I'm going to say it differently. I kept experiencing myself going into different universes. And I went into one, I'm going to call universe number 5. I went in there and I consciously felt that I was lovable. And I really felt it like, and then I saw him in that universe and I went, oh my gosh, he totally is in love with me. So I went, this is the universe I want to be in. And when I went into that universe, this is what I saw. This is what I experienced. I didn't make it up. It came to me. In that universe, I saw him on the East Coast giving notice to the band he was in, breaking up with whatever girl he'd been seeing at the time, deciding he was going to go to Iowa to see his meditating friends. And then he was going to go to Los Angeles to see his rock and roll friends. And then he was coming back to Santa Barbara and we were going to be together, right? That's what I saw in that vision. 2 weeks later, and I hadn't seen him for 2 years. 2 weeks later, I went, well, and I knew I was in that universe, sweetie. It was real. I could feel the sun. I could see the grass. I could feel the grass. I could smell it. I was literally in that reality. It felt very, very real to me. So 2 weeks later, I called him. Okay. And why wouldn't I? He's in love with me. It's not like I was stalking him. So I called him and I went, hey, how you doing? He goes, well, 2 weeks ago, I gave notice to the band. I'm not going to see this girl anymore. I'm going to Iowa. I'm going to LA. I'm coming back to Santa Barbara. We've been hanging together now for over 30 some years. Okay. So it's like, now here's the weird thing, because I didn't stalk him. I didn't change him. Here's the thing about knowing how to do parallel universes. If I stayed in one, I could have either suffered or gone, oh, I got to overcome this. I got to work. I got to convince him to love me. I got to, I would have been fighting my own beliefs. All I had to do was shift my beliefs, my perception of reality. I had to know that there was more than one reality. And all I had to do was align with the one that was already there, where I was already with him. That's all I had to do. I didn't have to work hard to overcome. I just had to shift. Now, the weird thing is in universe number 1, all my girlfriends were complaining that they wanted to be in a relationship. They wanted to get married. They wanted to have babies. They were all single. When I shifted into universe 5, all my girlfriends had boyfriends and we're getting married. I'm like, whoa, now this was 30 some years ago. So I didn't want to go up to him because I would and go, by the way,
This
you're
is
not the universe, you're single. Because I thought they'd think I was crazy. So I didn't say anything. Now I tell them all. Okay, now I'm not hiding the parallel universe stuff anymore because people are hearing it. They're open to it. It's become more mainstream. When I first started doing this work, people are even, you see auras, what? You do psychic work, what? Right now it's like, yeah, of course, of course. Anyway, that's one of my more dramatic parallel universe stories, and I got a lot of them.
I love that story. I remember it was a interview just like this where I listened to you say that, and I'm in shock. And again, I hearing it again, it's amazing, but it's also it's inspiring, right? So thank you so much for sharing that, and I love hearing that story. How can someone who's listening, whether it's with their health or their relationship, their career, their money, how can we use a parallel reality and really stepping into it just like you did? Like, did you start to, from your day-to-day tasks, feel as if you were in that reality? How can listeners step into that version now?
Great question. So the first thing is what I did with Universe One, I had to have no attachment to it. I dropped it. I stepped out of it. You can't drag that baggage with you because it's just the same energy. First of all, you have to know that parallel universes are real. And I happen to know they are. Okay. So you have to know that there's not just one reality. None of us are experiencing the same reality at all. None of us. There are not two people on this planet that are having the exact same experience. So right there, that shows you there's more than one reality, right? But quantum physics, number one, there's more than one reality. Number two, you have to be willing to let go of, and this is what's tricky, sweetie, because people are attached to their drama and their emotions and their stories. As much as I've helped people, like, look, drop that and go over here. No, you don't understand. And I go, okay. I like Richard Bach, he said, argue for your limitations and they're yours.
Mm,
Notice that you're attached to your story, your drama, your beliefs. You have to be willing to drop them. Just let it go and go. That's only one story. It's only one version. It's only one movie. You know, we do it all the time with our technology. If we're watching a movie we don't like, we change the channel on the
yeah.
TV. We're
Mhm.
listening to music we don't like, we change it. We change to something else. We do that all the time in our lives with technology. We don't realize we can do it with our lives too. So knowing that it's real, and I didn't even fully know it was real, but I experimented with it
Mhm.
when I first did it.
You're open.
Being willing to let go of your drama, your story, and your addiction to the emotions you've got going on. Now, and then choosing a different belief, like I am lovable, or he does love me, or I am healthy.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, or it's not bad to eat chocolate. Chocolate's good for me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like your beliefs and your thoughts and your beliefs trigger your emotions, and that's what creates your reality. Those three things. Okay. So if you and then using your imagination is a great way to believe that that reality is real. So that's why Einstein said, I believe that imagination is more important than knowledge because what we think we know limits us.
Yes.
So using your imagination, and then you got to feel it. That's why they talk about the law of attraction. It's basically the same thing, or shifting your frequency. There's lots of spiritual teachers now that are talking about that. So you step into this other one. You imagine, create an experience this other reality as just as real as the one you just left, right? Just as real. Align with it, and believe it and live it, and you'd be amazed. I mean, people heal their bodies that way. They heal their money issues that way. Okay, money, jobs. I can't find a job. Well, stop affirming that
Mhm.
and see yourself already doing what you love doing and already having it. I realize it sounds, like I said, like science fiction, but you know what? Look at cell phones were science fiction a long time ago, and cell phones uses the same thing. It's energy. It's waves of information and energy. Okay, it's quantum physics.
It really is, and it's almost going into the observer, right? When the thing being observed
That's
is
it.
being observed, then the motion, then that's, I mean, it's a terrible way of explaining it, but it is basically that, right? And so that's why we go for the double blind studies as well, because even that study being observed, the control group will potentially have a change in effect. So it's Powerful.
That's exactly it. That's the double slit experiment. That's how they discovered that parallel universes were a real thing. That the observer has an effect. That's why they said that they can no longer measure an objective reality because the observer always influences the outcome of the reality. So we're creating our own reality. I mean, it's spiritual teachers, mystics have been telling us that for centuries, and now physicists are
Yes.
coming up with the same thing. It's like, oh, consciousness. It's all consciousness, and it's choice.
And that's the perfect way for people to start to have that awareness and experiment, and then really, have you as a teacher as well to look at how they can start to implement this into their own life. So really, with that being said, is there anything else that you would really, really love for people to know about you and themselves and your work?
Well, the main thing I want it to be about them. Okay. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't teach anything that I haven't proven to myself first. It's like, because I'm more grounded than that. So on my website, and my book, Infinite You, in Infinite You, I talk about all of this. I show people how to do it. And then I've got courses on my website. And I'm not pushing my courses. I'm a blue. We're not salespeople. I want people to be happy. Okay. I want them to live their potential and have awesome lives. So I share. And if people want to take advantage of it, great. If not, I'm doing fine. I know how to create my life. It doesn't depend on other people. So I have an e-course on my website called Quantum Leap, which I teach all of this, even how to bend spoons and how to talk to people on the other side and how to see past lives and future lives that are all happening simultaneously. So all of that's on my website. So that's mostly what I want people to know is, first of all, you're awesome. You came here for a reason. If you're unhappy, it's just because you have beliefs that are limiting you and lying to you about who you really are, because we're amazing, infinite beings. Seriously mean that. Okay. And so we focus, but we don't have to be limited. So I've created so much content and tools and resources to help people get there. A lot of it's free. A lot of it is big courses that, and they're not expensive. Nothing that I do is expensive. So you can go check all that stuff out because I've got all those tools to support you.
You truly make it accessible. You make it, even your blog, the quiz, everything easy to understand, even your emails. So very, very grateful for the work that you do. I will make sure all of that is linked. Pam, thank you so much. There are so many other questions I wanted to and could ask you. You are a depth of knowledge. Really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your wisdom and guidance with us today.
Thank you. And thanks for what you're doing. I love that you're being your Violet and getting this information out there and being willing to talk on high levels, because Violets get accused of being unrealistic dreamers. So the fact that you're trusting it and going for it, I love that. It's exciting to me. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you so much.